Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kedoshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We welcome Erica in Norway. Boston Shalom. Boston Shalom. Yes. Shalom to Boston. Robert in Boston, that is. Clem in Brisbane, where it's very late. And in good afternoon to Michael in Germany. Susan, welcome to you in Scranton, and John in North Carolina. Shalom. June, good night in Australia. And AJ, you have to remind me, I forget where you're from. Liba and Davida in New York, welcome. In North Carolina, we have Lori with us. Good morning. Eugenia in Calgary, welcome. Leah in Florida is with us. And Andrew in New Jersey, driving with 2 eyes on the road and 2 ears to the Tanya. Katie in Texas, good morning. Miriam in Hayden, Colorado, welcome. Diane is with us all the way in Arizona. Darren in the Philippines, good evening to you. And Dam in Indonesia, welcome. Pakistan, Azli, welcome. Is that the first or second time? Welcome. We have Rusty in Texas with us, and all the way in California, David, bright and early. Julie in Florida is with us. Irma she's in New Jersey now. Welcome. Kyle in Texas. A lot of Texans here. Jean in Pennsylvania, good morning. Simcha in Florida, welcome. Dana is in Tampa, Florida. Thank you for joining. And Rena in Colorado. Is it snowing there yet? Tim in Texas. Daniel in Aruba. Oh, must be nice there now. TJ in Australia. Maria Shalom. Betty in California is with us. Jan in Mexico. Cindy in Florida. Stella in Davenport, Florida. Shalom. And Galis, welcome. All right. And Clubhouse, we have with us Vilma, Bacha, David, Benjamin, Adam, Norm, Tim. We have with us on Instagram, Carolina. Good morning from Montreal. Akoy in Peru. Mustafa. Welcome. Liba and Yantatalaventa. Some names I can't make out over here. In Boston. Ben. Alin. I'm sorry. Yocheved is with us in Florida. Okay. Beautiful. So we conclude the 7th chapter today. Chapter 7, Klipa. Klipa, the shell that covers over on the divine, on the direct connection, the inner connection to godliness. And we've spoken many different things about that. And today, just one simple idea, and that is about wasteful emission of semen. And that means a potential for life that cannot ascend unless a person does tshuva, penitence. And the type that is interesting is that the Alter Rebbe speaks about the Shema, the bedtime Shema before going to sleep. The time, it's sometimes a little difficult, but a time to think about your day. So the Shema, in reciting it at night before going to sleep, so the Talmud, our sages tell us, is it's like a double-edged sword. It's like a double-edged sword. In other words, it's cutting away, slaying away at two different things, right? One is the bodies of the extraneous force that have become garments of the vitality of the drops of semen from the individual, and the other is the vitality that ascends from them, from Klipa. From Klipa. So, in other words, there's the vitality itself, which is Klipa, and excuse me, and the, so to speak, spiritual bodies that it's created of extraneous forces as a result. Some spiritual ideas over here that by saying the Shema with intense concentration and devotion, that you cut away those negative forces that came from wasteful emission. And in a way, wasteful emission, the Alter Rebbe says, there's something more difficult and challenging with it, is the fact that it's, I guess, a potential of life that is not realized. Now, that being said, relations with somebody that you're not supposed to have relations with is also, includes that, but has another element to it, of course. And by illicit relations, you can have a child that is illegitimate that comes from that, which is also an expression of something that is not from a good place. And that's really, it's very brief. Very brief, the teachings today. That's really it. So let's unpack this a bit, and perhaps the important points, or the take home at least, is Judaism looks at relations between a husband and wife as actually the Holy of Holies. There's a very holy, which is very interesting because just about any other faith or religion, either relations is something, at best, is a necessary evil. At best, it's a necessary evil. At worst, it's, that's why better, you want to be a holy person, so you're going to, remain, you're going to remain just you and God, right? Now, that's not the Jewish way at all. Be fruitful and multiply. It's not good that a man is alone when Adam is alone and creates Eve, Chava. And as we've explained, that everything in the universe is is ultimately about a union between male and female in the spiritual realms, and that reflects down here also. So it reflects in a sense that relations, and we're living in the world today that there's such a challenge with this, and I suggested the challenge is because of the negative view that we have of Western culture. So, it's looked at as a negative thing, or at best a necessary evil. And so either you're going to, fight that, or whatever, you're going to embrace it to some degree, or whatever the case may be, right? So Judaism comes and says, well, no, It's wrong. The assertion is wrong. It's meant to be holy. It's meant to be holy. And what does it mean, holy? Holy means, as we've learned in this chapter, that when it is about my mere lust that I am fulfilling, so if it's in food, right, that I'm, gobble it up just out of the pleasure thereof, without being mindful that this is energy that is to give me to serve God, which maybe I wouldn't gobble it all up, maybe only half of it. Whatever, you get it. So then it becomes an activity that is ascends to something purposeful and holy. So probably the most difficult area besides food is sexuality, because food, how could that not be about pleasure? In other words, a devotion to pleasure, right? How could it be that sexuality is not a devotion to pleasure, my pleasure? And that is the issue. So if it's merely seeking my pleasure, it doesn't mean that it's not pleasurable, again, but the question is, what are you seeking, or what's your mind, where's your headspace, where are your thoughts, and is it to have pleasure or to give pleasure? So that is the unique distinction. What makes it holy? That I'm not seeking merely my pleasure. Again, that will be a byproduct. That will be that, not that it won't be there, but that there's something more here. It's the Holy of Holies. It's a union, and the opportunity that even here there's something holy, and what's holy in it is that I'm giving. I'm not here merely to take. That's pretty powerful idea that I really believe the world is so challenged with. And it really comes down about, what are you after? So, and it's not like, I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back, you give me pleasure, I give you pleasure. That's not exactly holy. So here, then, just in wrapping up this idea, is just bringing out how much we really life is in our hands, and we can choose how to even something as so basic as a pleasure principle, as human sexuality, that it can be even godly. Powerful. Alrighty, let's open this up. Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas. Davida, does wasteful emission of seed liable for earthly death and to be cut off from heaven? Good question. No. Not. No, I have to double check, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Does this apply to women? More to men than women. Good question, Davida. More to men to women. Women, as the old saying goes, and this is a general truth. It may not be always the truth, but a general truth. Man, a woman has sex in order to have love. A man has love in order to have sex. Gives love, right? So a woman, it's not as much in a sense, the physical lustful desire as it is the bonding and the love that comes from it. That is a general rule. Yeah. Yes. I hope that was clear. So therefore, this applies more to the man because the man is more driven by the physical desire of fulfillment of his pleasure. And a woman, the pleasure is more in the bond. I hope that's clear. Lori, are you saying love and marriage are essential to sexual relations? Or maybe sexual relations are essential to marriage? Sexual relations create, a deeper bond in marriage and a deeper love. Absolutely. I hope that was clear. John, Western culture is firmly rooted in many divergent views of what is permissible sexuality. How does one undo this influence? Well, as we're learning Tanya and we're studying this, and when we recognize that, when you say, John, when you say that there's divergent views, it expresses itself in divergent ways, but it's the idea is one and the same. And one and the same is that at best it's a necessary evil, right? And at worst it's it's evil. Look what it does to a person, and in Judaism, no. It's the ultimate expression of where you can truly serve God, truly serve by not making it about your pleasure. Again, it's not saying that there isn't pleasure. It's not denying the pleasure. The question is, what's your motivation, or what is your mind? Where's your headspace? What are you thinking? So listen, we're all human, and there will be times that we can rise above, and there can be more holiness in it, and that holiness will be expressed in the way you talk, the way you engage, or in that you can find in a lot in Jewish law. Just the fact that there's a healthy headspace, that there's a concern for another, that itself is amazing. There's someone here that, Norm, did you want to say something, or I missed something? Anybody want to share? Did I miss anything on Instagram? I'm sorry. 1 second. Small print on Instagram, so sometimes it's easy to lose. A reminder for Rambam today at 1 o'clock. Reb Norm, please share.
Hi there, Rabbi. Hi,
Hello, hello.
everybody. Good. Is it up? Are you calling on me?
Yeah, sure.
Hi. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure you know that you've been very instrumental in bringing me closer to Judaism, Jewish practice, closer to myself, my Jewish self, and so thank you.
Thank you.
It's an ongoing process. I wanted to address the topic of the room, the difficult and usually private topic, which I think it was very brave of you to broach and of us to for us to listen.
Well said. Well said. Well said.
Thank you. So, with your in a very discreet and decorous way, I'm going to try to be direct, discreet, decorous, and direct. So, because here's my understanding, and I think my understanding is evolving. That we originally, I would say, I saw Jews who adhere to three key parts of Jewish practice is all for me. Is on the other side of a divide from me, and those three elements were keeping kosher, keeping Shabbos, and family purity, I guess we could call it, or modesty.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So, and I thought, oh my gosh, can I ever cross this divide? And what would I be like on the other side of this divide? Now, I didn't grow up with it. It's not an excuse. And I'm moving, towards it but again, maybe not fast enough. I don't know how to judge oneself. But on this subject, a few generations now, for sure, have grown up with the ability to love another human outside the sacrament of marriage. This is now, I think, part of modern life.
Right.
And,
correct.
As I think maybe Freud suggests, I don't know if he said it just this way, but once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's hard to put it back in. That is to say, like with food, we all desire the intimacy, closeness, connection. I think that's why we're in this room. Our desire for intimacy, closeness, and connection is not only physical and romantic, it's also with Hashem. And I even think both of those, I even think it might be all the same thing. And I know, especially where you speak from, Hashem loves us and needs us to do things, that are Jewish, I think. And this is all, like in Lecha Dodi, everybody knows it's almost a romance sometimes. It approaches that, our relationship. So, but I guess the biggest question, so given all of that, and given, I think, if that it's such a pure human desire to crave bonding with another human, to want to be complete. Those things that we talk about in here, that and the other rabbis talk about, that when we get married, two people are completed, we become one. I listen a lot to Rabbi Manis Friedman.
He's great. He's great.
He's so wonderful, right? And I'm not looking for I'm not looking for a woman. I'm looking for my wife. I'm
right.
not looking, so I'm not right. And he'll say, I'm not looking for a man. I'm looking for my husband. Yes, we're all the good men. We're not looking for all the good. We're looking for one. We're looking for my. So now, living still in the modern world, on the other side of that divide, is there? I hope this. I think I'm putting this okay. Is there a way back? And what does it look like for us? Because to me, it seems okay. It always seemed almost insurmountable for me, but here I am putting on tefillin. And I love
Mm-hmm.
that, and I am so grateful that you're a part of that. And I carry them with me like a security. What do you? I don't know what you call the bag, but that we keep them in. But that's
The
it's
tefillin bag,
comforting. It's always
right?
the tefillin bag. Okay, so it's like a comforting tool. So, um, how do we move towards this kind of holiness that we're talking about today in this room? I think my
That's
question is clear. I know I'm
yeah.
repeating.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
thank you for sharing your really.
yeah.
That was very, very nice, beautiful. Um, you know, uh, maybe let me give a bit of a roundabout. You know, how do you know that when you're ready to get married? How do you know when you're ready to get married? So, well, one of the ways, actually, I think this is, I heard it many, many years ago from Rabbi Friedman, from Hannes Friedman, says, when you're bored with yourself, then there's room for another. Um, when you're, like the guy goes out with a girl and he's an extremely successful person in every area of life. Truly, not really not just business, but community person, a giving philanthropist, everything. And for the first 2 hours, he's telling about everything that he's all of his great things that he's done, and it's all true. It's all he's not bluffing. It's true. After 2 hours, it's enough about me talking about myself. Tell me, what do you think about me? Well, that guy's not ready for marriage because there's no room for somebody else, right? Um, he may want someone for companionship. He may want someone, that so he doesn't feel lonely. But marriage is that there's another person, not me, not like me at all, different than me, who I can embrace, the differences being male and female, one different, the obvious difference, but in every other way also, and embrace that individual. Which what does that really say? It's really saying that when there's room for another, meaning that I'm not when I'm so full of myself. So what am I seeking? I'm seeking my own pleasure, my own greatness, my own self-fulfillment. Well, okay, so you don't need to get married for that. And that's what's happening in the world today because that's what people are seeking. They're seeking their self-fulfillment. They're seeking their own pleasure. They're seeking, their own greatness. Look at the trophy wife they got, right? Trophy girlfriend or whatever. So that's not at all what we're talking about. And that's what the world is full of. Once you realize that that is depraved, once you realize that that's not where it's at, that's so like, you know, I've been through that. I'm tired of that already. That's just not, as long as you're gonna be, on that date and you can talk about yourself and and there isn't room. Let me hear about you. I want to know about you. Um, you know, so yeah, you'll find a girlfriend. So you'll find someone who's a companion, but that's not what marriage is. When marriage is that you can, there's room for another. You're bored with yourself already. Enough with me. And you're enough with the Western culture's ideas that you see have failed for you and have failed for others. Then you know what? You'll entertain this Jewish idea of what marriage is, and you'll be able to happily embrace it step by step. It's still a challenge because we still we still have an animal soul that wants what it wants, but you're not gonna make it so real for you because you realize that it's going nowhere, and that's what's going on in Western culture and relationships. It's not going anywhere because based on a falsehood. I need you to scratch my back and I'll scratch your back. That's a falsehood. And it just doesn't work ultimately. It can work for a time, obviously. I mean, it's not like, it can't, but it's got to be something more. There's got to be something divine to it. And that divinity is when you can submit to something greater than yourself. And here is making space for that person, right? In this idea. That's godly. Does that help, Norm?
Yes, it's helping. Let me just say a little bit back. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Sure.
But yes, well, I mean, like as with Manis Friedman, he says men are providers, and I don't know if he said that. I was focusing more on what we were supposed to do. Men are providers. I don't know if he said women are receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Although of course they provide tremendous nurturing and they provide really.
That's the receiver is to nurture, exactly. Right.
Ah, ah, yes, I see. But both of us are together providing to Hashem. Both of us though serving Hashem. Is that too simplistic, or is that partially what you're saying?
No, definitely, and by way of being there for the other. How are you serving Hashem here? By way of being there for the other. Exactly.
Right.
That's how it's expressing itself. Right? That's it. Precisely. Very well.
Beautiful, and thank you for walking us through that. Thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it.
God bless you, Norm. God bless. Keep strong in the journey. Amazing, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Davida, before I lose a feed over here, the line in the Shema, the bedtime be perfect before, relate to is the beginning of the Shema. It's in the Shema itself that, an awareness of Hashem, the oneness of Hashem, that brings us to the love of Hashem. That's really the basic idea. Mark.
Hi, Rabbi.
Hello, Mark.
I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness, Rabbi. I was watching you on the documentary.
Oh, Beryl Solomon documentary.
Yasser Koach. It was very nice.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. That was for those that didn't get a chance. Beryl Solomon. I'm sure you've seen him on social media. Do get a chance to watch Unorthodox, and actually some of the things that we're discussing over here, Norm. He brings out actually in the film, in a very extreme way, from the lifestyle before, embracing Yiddishkeit, and Baruch Hashem that we were, privileged to have a hand there and to help him and many others, of course. But yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you for mentioning that.
Orthodox.
Sorry?
You said unorthodox, but you mean Orthodox.
Oh, Orthodox. Did I say okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, Orthodox. Orthodox, exactly. Thank you much. Yes.
Rabbi, I've got a rabbi question. If you'll.
Sure.
So I was studying Rambam last night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Sefer Hamada.
Right.
And we're almost finished. So I'm at the end, and I'm studying with my Chavrusa, who, by the way, is like just an unbelievable, nice Jewish story. He's got he's the child of two survivors of the Holocaust separately, who married.
Right.
And they were sole survivors and have no family but my Chavrusa.
Wow.
His name is Paul Pincus, and he just celebrated the wedding of his 10th child in Muncie, and all 10 of his children are either rabbis, or they have smicha anyway, or they're
Right.
married to somebody.
Wow.
And he took a group picture. He had all 50 of his grandchildren present at the wedding last week, from Israel, from all over the world, and so from the ashes to the 50 Torah following, 50 and counting Torah following Jews is pretty amazing.
More than
here's
amazing.
My question is this. So I'm reading Rambam. This is about the sort of the separation of the soul from the body, and the body's wants and needs versus the soul's, and all about olam haba, right?
Right.
And so here's the question: when we die in this world, right, and we hopefully are righteous and we're going to be in the world to come, there's a different. I was learning from Rambam that it's almost as if the world to come is already here, like it was where we were before our souls, came into this world, and it's there after our souls. Our bodies, are no longer. And yet it's not the same as when Mashiach is here, and I'm having trouble understanding the difference.
Excellent question. Excellent question. So, what Mark is asking about the Olam Haba, which means the world to come. So, what does that mean exactly? So this is a difficulty that whenever you hear that word, it can mean one of two things. It can mean the world to come, meaning after this physical world, after 120 years, we spend our time over here and our soul is separated from the body, and the soul goes to Gan Eden after whatever process, something that we've actually spoke about in this chapter, right? So there's the process the soul goes through to get to Gan Eden, to the Garden of Eden, and that's Olam Haba. However, and as Mark says, and it's very true, in a sense, it's not the world to come, because that world exists today. There's souls there today. And not only that, it's a different dimension that I'm not privy to myself, but righteous people have a connection to that world and are privy to what's going on in that world, to whatever extent. As we've heard many different stories from tzaddikim, righteous people. So in a sense, it's not really to come, because it's here now. Now, it is to come for me personally, and for all of us we're learning here, because we're here in a soul and a physical body. So in that sense, it's to come, right? But it's not to come in a global sense, because Gan Eden exists right now. It's a reality that exists right now. As when Jacob walked in, Yaakov walked in to get the blessings from his father Esav. So it says he walked in with the taste and the smell and the of Gan Eden, because it was a reality of the righteous that they can tune into, a different dimension that I'm not privy to, and you're not privy to. Now, the real word Olam Haba means that it's in the future. In other words, it's not present now at all, and that is the times of Mashiach. But that term is used in both ways. So sometimes it's confusing. What is the meaning of this term? What is the reference to this term? So it can be confusing, Mark. I agree with you. But this is what it is, and sometimes I myself, just try to figure out what is the reference over here. Does it mean Gan Eden or does it mean Mashiach? So, but that's the explanation. We can understand how it could be used, the same term, for two different ideas, two different concepts, and both are true. And we need to know the context, what the reference point is. I hope that helps, Mark.
That does. Thank you. But just one follow-up, Rabbi, because
Go ahead.
It's important. I'm actually right in front of HTC in Chicago as I talk to you. But anyway, the one is I understand that in Olam Haba, when we die, when our bodies die, and then when the Mashiach comes, for sure we get to see and be with all of our our loved ones, our ancestors, even
Right.
Abraham,
Right.
right? Is that in this does that happen now, or does that happen only after Mashiach?
That's after Mashiach. That's two stages in Mashiach. The first stage of Mashiach, the world is sort of as now, but with a presence of God being much more, being very real. And then Tchias HaMesim, the resurrection of the dead, is a time period later in the times of Mashiach. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, amazing. Davida has a question over here. What happens when one gets divorced or widowed? Is there any disconnect there? Well, if you're widowed, you're widowed. Divorce is a disconnect. I'm not certain what the question is. What do you mean, is there any disconnect? You mean, well, if you're widowed, you're still connected to that soul after that person passes away. You still have a connection. And if you were divorced, I mean, you had a connection, but no longer. That's what divorce means. Get means to sever the connection. I hope that's clear. The link to the documentary. Oh, okay, thank you, Leah, for putting that up. That was okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, folks. I must move on. A reminder that we're doing a charity, crowdfunding campaign starting this Sunday for the work that we do here online and not just online, but also here at Chabad Zichron Kadeshim, which, everything that I do online is actually an extension from here. And we're going to email and put up in social media, so you'll find some more information to become aware and help whatever you can. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful, great day, and Asar B'Tevis, the 10th day of Tevis, that Nebuchadnezzar surrounded the walls of Jerusalem, made a siege. The word is Samach, though. The verse is Samach Bavel. It's Yerushalayim. He surrounded, but it means he made a siege. But it means Somech, that he was supporting. So the Rebbe explains that whenever something bad happens, ultimately it's in order to get greater support. We recognize that that's why the difficulty we're going through is because of the support that we need to have from each other, with each other, for each other. Then the siege will melt away. The Jews didn't recognize that, and ultimately, First Holy Temple got destroyed. So let us recognize that together today. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day.